Hello, everybody. How is everyone today? Good. I'm so glad to see you all here on this wonderful morning. First thing, I want to let you all know we have HCBN filming, so if you don't want to be on camera, just stay behind the camera. I also want to invite you all to come into the library and check out books if you haven't already. If you haven't signed up for summer reading, you're more than welcome to, or turn in your logs, get some cool prizes. And I also want to invite you next Thursday. We're having the Brodini Comedy Show. They'll be putting on a comedy magic show. So that should be a lot of fun. That is brought to you by the McLeod County 4-H and the Hutchinson Library. So I'd love to see you all there. I think it'll be a ton of fun. And so I am going to welcome our readers today. We have Miriam and Andrea, and they are master gardeners, and they're going to be hosting story time today. So enjoy and welcome, you guys.
We have some great stories for you today. No. Anyway, my first story that I'm going to read to you is Painting a Rainbow. And this story is about a girl and her mom. And it starts with, every year, Mom and I paint a rainbow. In the fall, we buy some bulbs and plant them in the ground. Orange tiger lily bulbs, red tulip bulbs, orange tulip bulbs, yellow daffodil bulbs, blue hyacinth bulbs, purple crocus, and purple bearded iris. For spring to warm up, we wait for spring to warm up the soil and sprout the bulbs. And here they're starting to sprout. You can see the roots starting to grow in the ground and the flowers starting to pop up. We sow the seeds and set the plants in the soil and watch the rainbow grow. Look at how it's growing and grow and grow. We have some red flowers and orange flowers and some yellow blooms. These are daffodils. We just had lots of daffodils this year. And then we have something green. These are ferns. Look at how they curl up. They're so cool. And some blue flowers and some purple flowers too. And when summer is over, we know we can grow our rainbow again next year. Isn't that cool? Here's the rainbow garden. Isn't that nice? All right. That's fine. Andrew's going to read the next story. You need to take this.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to read about the good brown earth. We always, before you plant, you've got to have really good brown earth. When Graham went to the vegetable patch, Joe came too. It was nearly winter. Don't do too much in the winter. Now's digging time, said Graham, and she picked up her spade and dug that ground into big old lumps. Joe dug too. He made a hole and a heap and a squishy place for squelching in. Have you ever done that with the mud, with your toes in it? And the good brown earth got on with doing what the good brown earth does best. You all see it? Next time Graham went to the vegetable patch, Joe came too, and here was spring in the air. No, now it was planting time, said Grandma, and she raked out the loose earth, smooth as breadcrumbs, and planted seeds in long, straight rows. I try for straight rows, but I don't always do that. Joe planted too, lots of seeds here, there, and who knows where. And the good brown earth went on with doing what the good brown earth does. I see some squirrels helping with the seeds. And the birds. Next time Gran went to the vegetable patch, Joe came too, and the birds were singing, and the trees were flowering, and the rain and the sun were chasing each other across the sky. Now's watching time, said Graham. keeping an eye on those hungry birds, and she made a scarecrow and a stick in the ground. Joe watched too. Graham, Graham, he shouted, there are tiny spikes coming up. Just little tiny things starting, but they turn into wonderful things. Next time Graham and Joe went to the vegetable patch, it was green all over. Now's weeding time, said Graham, and she picked up her long-handled hoe and grubbed up all those weeds between vegetable rows. Joe pulled up a few weeds too, at least he hoped they were weeds. Then he rolled in the long grass and sang. 6 pages. Next time Graham and Joe went to the vegetable patch, it was hot, hot, hot. The plants were drooping and the earth was dry. Uh-oh, said Graham. Now's watering time. And she hooked up the hose to the old tap and ran it on the plants sweet as rain. Joe watered too, mainly himself. And he gave Graham the second ripe strawberry. Do you guys like to run through the hose? I do too. Soon Joe's ma and pa took the whole family to the beach and Graham went too. Now's resting time, said Graham. Stretching out for a snooze, the sun shone and the breeze blew. A little vacation, and the good brown earth got on with doing what the good brown earth does best, day after day, golden day, until the next time Graham went to the vegetable patch and Joe came too, of course. What did they find? Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow! There were Graham's plants standing tall and ripe and lush. All hope for that. And there were Joe's higgledy-piggledy, tangly, fantastic. He's got a kind of a little messy garden, but that grows too. Joe jumped up and down and hugged and hugged and hugged his own Graham tight. But what? How? How? Asked Joe. Graham hugged him back. You'd have to ask the good brown earth, she said. Then she took her long prong fork and opened up the ground, and there were pale brown potatoes like buried treasure, and carrots and parsnips and beets. Do you guys like beets? Potatoes? Now is gathering time, said Graham, filling her basket, and Joe gathered too. Beans and greens, ladybugs and grasshoppers, dandelions and fat tomatoes, and he ate so many blackberries that purple juice ran all down his chin. And when they'd finished gathering, Graham and Joe loaded up the wheelbarrow and set off home ready for feasting time. Have you ever grown great big pumpkins? Oh, yeah. And the good brown earth got on with doing what the good brown earth does best.
Okay, the next story is about Grandpa and his garden. That story was Grandma. Anyway, it's spring, Grandpa. Can we begin? The days are still short and the light is sharp like the lemon juice. But there are little green spheres have pierced the earth and soon there will be daffodils. Snuggled deep in my hat and scarf, I tramped in Grandpa's footsteps to the vegetable patch at the end of the garden. I tried to dig, but the ground's too hard. It's no use, Grandpa. Everything's dead. He chuckles, and his eyes are full of summer. It's only sleeping, Billy. Come and see. One slice of his spade, and the soil turns inside out. Beetles, bugs, and wiggling worms are busy breaking up the earth. Look how hard they work, Grandpa said. Shall we help them? So we dig and dig. All that digging makes my tummy rumble. I think he was hungry. Grandpa says the soil is hungry too. Waking after such a long sleep, we need to feed it or nothing will grow. All year long, he's cooked a steaming compost heap. Nothing is wasted. Vegetable peelings, long cuttings, and fallen leaves. And now it's rich and dark and sweet. and ready to spread on our vegetable patch. And when we wait, it's really hard to wait. It's warmer now and lighter. The leaves uncrumple, soft as silk on walking trees. Grandpa crumbles the earth like chocolate cake. Ready, Billy? It's planting time. We comb the earth smooth with our rakes and mark out lines with sticks and string. Peas and beans and pumpkin seeds need tucking in with careful fingers. We sow carrot seeds in tiny rows, but I like scattering lettuce seeds into the breeze. Grandpa says it'll grow wherever it falls. Grandpa has sprouted trays of potatoes. We bury them and pat the soil around, and then we wait. It's really hard to wait. Every day I run to look, but there's nothing there. Grandpa, I wail, why is it so slow? Patience, Billy. Grandpa smiles. Good things take time. But just this once, I'll let you peek. A teepee marks the beans we buried weeks before. I dig, finger and thumb, just like that. A gentle tug, and up comes one, complete with brand new baby roots. And look, another shoot is reaching up toward the sky. There, says Grandpa, not long now, but it's still hard to wait. Grandpa gives me jobs to pass the time. Here with my watering can, I'm rainmaker, cloud shaker, sprinkling rainbows on thirsty soil. And now, as if by magic, spring bursts in and everything grows. See him sprinkling the garden? But the plants are in danger. Look what's happening, Grandpa. Come with me. Oh no, something is stealing our garden. I spy slimy slugs and snails and caterpillars too. I see aphids and blackflies feasting on young frail leaves. We can't wait. There isn't time. But Grandpa doesn't seem to mind. Have a look around, Billy, he says. Tell me who you see and tell me how they protect our garden. Be quiet, mind you. Very quietly, I start exploring. I find hungry frogs and snuffling hedgehogs. There are lazy ladybugs and gauzy hoverflies. And I see busy, bright-eyed birds flying down from the trees, searching for their supper. They're the best friends we could have, says Grandpa. He's right. Our friends help us keep those bugs at bay. And Grandpa knows a trick or two. Everything's growing now in the summer sun, scrambling higher, scrabbling for space. Grandpa shows me how to pull out weaker plants and greedy weeds. We squeeze some room for baby plants, tomatoes, cucumbers, strawberries, grown in Grandpa's greenhouse. And at last it's harvest time. There's not much to do. We dig and pick. And no time at all, my basket fills and my mouth blooms bright with strawberry juice. He's eaten lots of strawberries. But when I pop a pot of peas, I find the caterpillars have gotten there before me. One for the compost heap, Grandpa says. We have plenty more. Grandpa leaves some peas and beans unpicked. The pods bake in the late summer sun until they crackle and split their seams. Together we scoop the inside into paper bags. These are next year's crop, he says. I always grow a few more than I need. The sun sinks, tender as the ripest peach. We light a fire, Grandpa and me, roasting potatoes and toasting our toes. Grandpa sips from his flask of tea. I try to follow my yawns. Autumn is sending the soil to sleep, and it won't be long before winter's here. But spring will follow, and we'll be there, Grandpa and me, to welcome it again. and I can't wait. One more.
One pot too. How many of you planted a garden? Cool. Do you have a lot of veggies in it or flowers? Flowers? I've got a little bit of both. This is called planting the wild garden. This is all seeds, different kinds of seeds. I'd like that for wallpaper. The farmer and her boy plant their garden. They drop seeds, tiny, fat, round, and oval, into the earth. From these seeds, pumpkins and peas, carrots and cabbages will grow. In the wild meadow garden, many seeds are planted too, but not by farmers' hands. Right. The wind scatters seeds, it spills them and spins them and sweeps them up into the sunlight and out across the fields. Not always what you want, but waves of black and gold dip into the meadow. The flock of goldfinches bobbles and sways. Some thistle seeds float to the earth, others are strewn across the meadow. So do you think the birds move some of those seeds around? Because they can fly, so they're just scattering them all over the place. Under the afternoon sun, the pods of the Scotch broom grow hot and dry. All pop their seeds like popcorn from a pan. They land here and there and snap over there where they will have more room to grow. Sometimes they kind of know where they need to go to grow. Plop, plop, the rain patters on dusty leaves. Raindrops splash and splatter the dry earth, washing seeds to new places in the meadow. So the rain will move it too, all those seeds. The stream carries seeds too. Gulp, minnows dine on some. Others lodge along the bank. Next spring, new pussy willow shoots will poke up through the mud. So even in the water, the fish can do some of this work. Hidden in the tall weeds, a rabbit nibbles a stalk of yarrow. Now a nibble of grass. Nibble, nibble, hop, hop. Another seed falls to the ground. So just by chewing them, they do that. A hungry shadow watches. Can you see what kind of a shadow that is? I think it's a fox.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Good. I think even a white tip on his tail. She slips past the tangle of cockleburs. She creeps through the Queen Anne's lace. Seeds catch on her thick coat. They hook onto her white-tipped tail and plant themselves. Jump, fly off everywhere. So she's got them all over her fur, and then the seeds spread more. Dry hands. In the summer moonlight, 1, 2, 3, 4 masked faces, 4 ringed tails. Have any of you got those critters in your yard? Raccoons? A family of raccoons feast on blackberries. When they amble home again, bits of berries and seeds go with them. Next spring, new prickly canes will pop up everywhere. Could do without those critters. Thump, thump, an acorn falls, then another, and they're kind of big seeds and hard. The squirrel buries both and hunts for more, and that's where this big tree comes from. When winter comes, scratch, scratch, scratch. Down through the snow he digs, one fat acorn, then another, plenty of food to last till spring. Some nuts are lost, but few are wasted. This great oak tree grew from an acorn buried many years ago. Stomp, stomp. People help plant the meadow too. Seeds travel on muddy boots, hitchhike on sweaters, snag on socks, and whoosh, sail on a puff of a breath. So even when you're walking through a trail at the park, you're spreading seeds. Seed by seed, we planted this wild meadow garden. Wind and water, birds and animals, plants and people, all of us together. And that's it.
All right, we have one more story, and then we have something special for you to do. This is called Good Night Veggies. Veggies have to sleep just the way we do, just to get enough energy to keep on growing. Sunset in the garden, and this garden is really different. It's on top of a roof. Have you ever seen a garden on top of a building? Yeah, I'll bet it's warm up there. The robins in his nest, they're flying over that garden, tossing and turning the veggies. They need to rest. Turnips tucked in tightly. They're all tucked in the ground, ready to rest. Tuckered out tomatoes, humming lullabies. Cuddly cauliflowers, droopy peas of pods of peas, I guess I should say. Rhubarbs reading stories to worn out broccolis. Baby carrots snuggling. Baby lettuce, too. Baby eggplants dreaming of places far and new. Cucumbers are calm, lined up nice and neat. Golden yams are still, and beets are simply beet. Cabbages are nodding their leafy, sleepy heads. Radishes are dozy in cozy garden beds. Celery is snoring as sunset disappears. Cranky corn rolls over and covers up its ears. Every veggie snoozing beneath the moon so bright. For nothing is more exhausting than growing day and night. Good night, sleepy veggies. Sleep tight. All right. So now some fun.
Let me know. Okay. We thought we'd have you each come up. I'll tell you about this plant. This is a little different. Most plants when they develop their own seeds, when they flower, and then you can go and pick the seeds, and then you plant them. This is called a mother of thousands. And what she does is she has her babies all growing all on the edge. So what I thought we'd have you do is just put a little scoop of dirt in a cup, and then you have to pick them off kind of gently, and then just set them in your cup. And then we'll spray them with a little bit of water, and they're called a succulent, and that means they got thick. They got kind of. She's falling off in my hand. They have thick stems, so they don't need a lot of water. But if you have a plastic cup, you can kind of see how much water you're getting. Just make sure your soil's kind of wet. They actually can grow to 3 feet tall. It's a house plant, though.